Well, it's Friday, as you know what that means. As you know, we have, of course, New Blood by Stardom. We have some interesting matches that took place. We have Saran from Ice Ribbon being in a match against Hanako. We even have, of course, the Inaba sisters in separate matches. But, of course, the main event features the New Blood tag team titles being defended. Of course, Wingori defends it against the Young Kozen, which is, of course, the rookies of the Cosmic Angels, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurata. But the real question is, can they pull it off? Can these rookies win their first championship match? Well, we're just going to find out. And then we move on with, of course, with AEW Rampage featuring, of course, more interesting matches. Ahead of the time, we're going to see Shingo Takagi making his Rampage debut, and we have plenty other matches as well. And then we're going to find out who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. But however, since we are going to be reviewing Stardom's New Blood, we're going to be reviewing the much recent shows due to the circumstances that happened this past week. We're going to review, of course, the Shizuoka that took place on the 15th of June, and of course in Osaka on the 16th of June. This is before we head to the conversion that takes place as we speak. But we end this episode, of course, with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course, some developments. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do news updates to keep you guys updated what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling. But if I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside. It's time to rock and roll. So let's begin as part of course, the Stardom reviews. And this is from, of course, Shizuoka that took place on the 15th of June. Alright, Stardom in Shizuoka. Now this is a prelude before we head to the conversion, New Blood and conversion. But let's get started. Our first match, we have Cosmic Angel members consistent of Young Kozen members, Sayaka Kurara, Aya Sakura, and Yuna Mizumori. They take on the members of God's Eye, consistent of Rana Yagami, Amisuri, and Konami. Now, don't forget, as you know, that of course, Kurata and Sakura are learning to get closer as a tag team. They're getting better and better as we speak. But however, you look at people like Amisuri and Konami, well, they have more experience than them. That is the deciding factor from that. But unfortunately, the power of Amisori was just way too much for Sakura. She ended up on the wrong side of the Blue Thunder Bomb, and just like that, God's Eye walked away with the win. Next up, ahead of their tag team match, as you know, once again we have Wingori and FWC once again have single matches with each other. Now, last time we saw Azuki versus Sayaida, Hanan versus uh, Koguma, but now we changed it up a bit. So we have Hanan versus no Koguma versus Sayaida. So that's a very interesting development. Now, don't forget, Koguma is a very clever and crafty wrestler. She's even capable of pulling off some escapes, but this time it did not work because Sayaida picked up the win by pinning her. And now their partners took the stage, Hanan and Azuki. Now, don't forget, Azuki has a bit more of experience than, of course, than Hanan. But however, we cannot deny the fact that Hanan has always been a wrestler that we often say we praise, and that she is the one who's going to shine the most and be the future ace of Stardom. That's exactly what we did. But of course, she pulled off a win when she applied her finisher known as 17, and just like that, it was over. And of course, they put out a promo with each other, complimenting each other once again. So we will see those two at the conversion. Later on, we will be reviewing that possibly the next day, I'm not sure. But we'll see. Now, our next match, we have a three-way match. We have Rian versus Mei Sita versus Mina Shirakawa. Now, I know some of you would think just because I mentioned Mina Shirakawa, there's going to be a win. But the one thing that is an X factor of this match is Rian. Don't forget, she is still a rookie and currently unaffiliated with any other unit. So that kind of says it all. But how was this going to play out? But of course, it was Mei Sita with the Rolling Star as always. She applied it on Rian to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have God's Eye members Saki Kashima and Shuri. They team up to take on Star members Momokogo and Mayu Iwatani. So, of course, there was going to be some interesting developments in this match. However, Kashima, as you know, she is a bit of a trickster, the only resident trickster in God's Eye. But of course, she has one thing in mind is Mayu Iwatani. As you all know, their history, Mayu Iwatani hasn't forgotten when Kashima stabbed her in the back. So she tries to avoid her as possible. But she had to confront her regardless. But it did not end with, of course, Mayu Iwatani defeating her in a match. Unfortunately, it was Momokogo who ended up in a submission move by Shuri, picking up the win just like that. Now, our next match, we have the Cosmic Angel members, Natsupoi, Tam Nakano, and Sayuri Onoi. They take on EXV members Hanako, Xena, and Maika. Now, don't forget, at the conversion, we will see Xena and Maika will challenge each other for the red belt that Maika currently holds. So that's something we do know. But, of course, we don't know how they are now, mentally of their intellect as we speak. But unfortunately, that did not do any well for them because it was Hanako who ended up by the 10th Tundra by Sayuri Noi to pick up the win. And then, of course, we saw the fight between both Xena and Maika. So a bit of trouble in EXV world, but that's what took place. Now, our main event, we have, of course, Oedo Tai, consisting of Tekla, Momo Watanabe, Natsuko Tora. They take on Queen's Quest, Mayu Imasaki, Lady C, and Saya Kamitani. Now, probably you guessed right about now, Natsupoi and Starlight Kid were not, Zumi were not present due to the fact that, was it Azumi? I don't know, but anyway, but yeah, so we had this match, but once again, as you know, this is ahead of their final chapter match at the conversion. But as always, it was Momo who picked up the win once again when she applied the Hito Denashe onto Amasaki. But of course, once again, Momo continues to taunt Queen's Quest, informing them that this is the end for Queen's Quest. That is probably the fact what's going to happen from there. So we'll see where that leads us. So I think we are now officially done with Shizuoka. Let's move on with Osaka, with Stardom. Okay, We continue with more with Stardom, and this one is from their Osaka show that took place on the 16th of June, the day after the Shizuoka show. Now, it started up with Aya Sakura being in the ring against Miyu Amasaki. Now, of course, we know that Sakura, as you know, she has been improving little by little, and of course, those strike kicking techniques have always been helped. But however, Miyu Amasaki has a little bit more experience than her. That to me was the X factor of the match. She picked the win when she applied the Tenzai, and just like that, it was over. So basically, she picked up the win. Now, our next match, once again, we have another three-way, and this one involves, as always, last time we saw Rian and Meisira with Mina, but this time we have Yuna Mizumori in the mix. So this could play out in every way possible. Now, of course, Yuna Mizumori is a bigger individual and much stronger, but you got Meisira, who has a bit of the high speed tactic that plays out in her favor. But she was able to remove Mizumori in order to pick up the win by applying the drop kicks onto Rian and pick up the win. And just like that, it was completely over. Now, our next match, we have God's Eye, consistent of Runa Yagami and Saki Kashima. They take on the other members of EXV, Mina Shirakawa and Hanako. Now, of course, Saki Kashima will try to use her usual tricks in order to pick up the win. Of course, she'll probably leave Rana Yagami hanging for a while until she steps in, but unfortunately, it was surprisingly that Kashima's Kishikase was countered by Mina Shirakawa to try the Mina collection, and just like that, Mina Shirakawa picked up the win for herself. Now, our next match, we have Cosmic Angel members Sayaka Kurata teaming up with Sayuri Nui. This is the first time that these two have a tag match. They face against Star members Momokogo and Maya Iwatani. Now, of course, these two had to team up recently because, as you know, the other teammates, Koguma and Azuki, will defend their Stardom, their Goddesses belts against their other teammates as well. Wingori, consistent of Hanan and Saida. So basically, they were keeping themselves busy. But unfortunately, this match ended with Kurara ended up on the wrong side of the frog splash by Mayu, and just like that, it was over. But of course, Sayuri Noi did mention in the post-match comments to Kurara, as you know, this is ahead of her match at New Blood, so she told her to do her best. Now, our next match is a very interesting one. We have God's Eye, consistent of Amisuri, Konami, and Shuri. They take on Starlight Kid, Tam Nakano wearing a mask, and then there's, of course, Boyman. We all know that's Natsupoi. So anyway, it was kind of weird. They're like looking at her, Natsupoi? Everybody just completely laughed. But of course, there were moments we saw they were gonna the God's Eye were gonna be the ones to try to remove their mask. I mean, it's obvious they want to prove, yep, it's them, all right. That's how it always has been. But it did not go even that further. But luckily, I have to say it was great teamwork with Starlight Kid, Tam, and Natsupoi. Well, Boyman actually, but it did help. So basically, it was of course Boyman with the fairy brink. Ironically, something that Natsupoi does. Picked up the win, of course, against Amisuri, and just like that, it was over. And then they unmask Tam out of it, even though we've seen her face, but she's playing the role like, you can't see my face, that sort of thing. I thought it was a very touching thing out of her to act like, yes, you can't show your face, but it was a lot of fun. Now, our next match, once again ahead of their final chapter match, Oedo tied again with Tekla, Momo, and Natsuko. They take on Queen's Quest, this time consistent of Lady C, Azumi, and Saya Kamitani. Now, of course, we all know that this was going to be the last time they will see each other until the full force at the conversion. But unfortunately, in this match ended with a disqualification, all thanks to Momo Watanabe when she whacked Azumi with the bat. And of course, during the post-match promo, Momo Watanabe did give another promo telling them that this is the end. So We'll see what happens at the conversion when we get there. Now, our main event, we have, of course, a very interesting thing. Now, as you know, we have certain championship matches that we'll be taking at the conversion. We have a 6-woman tag match. Wing Gori, consisting of Saida Hanan, they team up with Xena. They take on FWC, Koguma, and Azuki, along with the current red belt champion, Maika. So you would think this match was going to be interesting. Now, don't forget, this is a match that these ladies will confront each other at the conversion at their own separate matches. But I was surprised. Now, you would think Maika, who is a strong wrestler, would try to withstand everything that Xena throws at her. Well, Xena did throw everything she got at her, but it didn't work. But there's always a conventional way to pick up the win, so she applied a, how do I say, an inside cradle, and just like that, it was over, which was simpler. I mean, if Maika was well aware of what she was going to do, then she was well prepared for it. But we'll see what happens at the conversion from here on out. But right now, I think we are done with the Osaka show. Let's move on with New Blood. Okay, New Blood 13. It's been a while since we had this. I think our last one that we had was back in December, I believe. I'm not sure. But it's great that New Blood is back. Um, I have to say, great. Now, this normally has a bit of a 5 matches as a full card, just so that you guys know. But let's get started. Our first match is, of course, with Rion, as you know, our rookie wrestler. She takes on Mei Seda. Now, obviously, this match, you probably would see some improvements from Rion. I mean, she kind of did. But however, you have to look at Seda with her high speed technical abilities. That was the deciding factor of this match. But she was able to pick up the win when she did the drop kick onto Rion in order to pick up the win. Just like that. Now, our next match, well, you can say this is a God's Eye showdown, but we haven't seen Tomoka Inaba for quite some time. As you all know, she is a member of God's Eye, but she's not officially a member of the Stardom roster. She is from the GTO, and she's the current champion. She is the queen of GTO. She faces against Rana Yagami, and I have to say, this was going to be a very interesting moment, because we do know both these ladies do have, of course, striking capability. So that kind of puts it up right there. So that's what's going to happen. But we'll see where that leads us. But it took only one shot, one kill by Tomoka to put away Rana Yagami away from that. But it's great that Tomoka is back chilling out with God's Eye. So that's going to be interesting. Now, our next match, we have Saran from Ice Ribbon takes on Hanako. Now, if you guys aren't familiarized with Saran, she is the youngest member of the Stardom roster. I remember seeing her a couple years back. Just a rookie, but she has grown significant. Now, however, you would think in this match, just by looking at it, Hanako would have been the obvious choice to win this match. But every turn that Saran had she countered every move that Hanako would have done to pancake her or whatever. But it didn't work in Hanako's favor. Neither did Saran. It kept going and going and going until we reached the time limit draw, 15 minutes. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the next New Blood, Hanako would demand a bit of a rematch, but we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have the other member of the GTO, Azusa Inaba, Tomoka's little sister. She teams up with Rina to take on Queen's Quest members Miyu Amasaki and Hina. Now, of course, this was going to be a very interesting match. Now, those who know this already, those who haven't, Rina and Hina are in fact twin sisters. They are Hanans. So, as you know, Hina does have her sights set on the future belt that Rina currently has. But there would have been a factor in this match. If Hina would have picked up the win against her own sister, she would have got a guarantee opportunity for the future belt. But unfortunately, it did not do any well. It was, of course, Rina with the pink devil, which is the gory bomb, that put away Hina. And then once again, of course, Rina with her promo mocking Amasaki and Hina that on the conversion the following day, it will be the end of Queen's Quest. So we'll see what that leads us from there. Now, our next match is our main event. This is for the New Blood Tag Team titles. We have, of course, Young Kozen, members of the Cosmic Angels, Sayaka Kurata, and Aya Sakura, who, as you all know, they received an opportunity for this, even though some people say that probably they just gave it to them out of pity, but they are eager to prove them wrong. But they face against the current champions, Wingori, consistent of Saida and Hana. But I have to say the match was pretty impressive. We have now fully seen how much growth both young ladies from Young Kozen to pick up the slack. However, you would think they would have pulled off a miracle, but unfortunately it did not. It was, of course, a bit of a lariat into a pinfall by Hina onto Kurata. It ended just like that. But however, at the post-match, Ida decided to give some props to Young Kozen. They saw how and they said that in no time they'll be the next New Blood Tag Team champions. So basically, that's how it is. But as soon as that happened, Rina and Azusa showed up, declaring themselves as the next challengers. However, Hanako begs to differ. She is still aiming the belt against Waka. I'm sure Rina thinks of Waka that she's nothing but, and I apologize for this language because Rina says this all the time. She calls women like Waka a shitty old hag. If you guys wonder why, they believe that women like Waka should not be involved in this type of match because this is only for beginners only. But Waka's time limit his limit as a junior has already ended, but they persistent, and so did Saran. So we will see what happens from here on out with these people. But nonetheless, to just keep moving forward from here on out. We are done with all of our Stardom stuff, so let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage opened up with Private Party versus Commander and Metallic. So, of course, we haven't seen Private Party that much as a tag team, but jumping into the story with the learning tree, that kind of sets it up. But makes you wonder if they have learned anything, or are now trying to pick up the slacks where they left off. But you would think, because we have two wrestlers who are Commander and Metallic, they will pick up the win. Now, I know some of you question that Metallic's, he has a big ego. He shouldn't be here. I understand that, but that's the way it's booked. But this match ended with the gin juice onto Metallic and then pinned by Zay, and just like that, it was over. However, we did see, of course, the learning tree. Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith shows up, and of course, Private Party went after them. So that kind of sets the whole thing up to possibly to see them in an upcoming feud, in a very good, interesting feud. Our next match, we have Rey Fenix taking on Turbo Floyd. So I thought this match was pretty good. Now, of course, Rey Fenix, he is a highly respectable wrestler. You would think that this is going to be his match. He did when he applied a frog splash, giving him the win. Next up, we have a TNT title qualifier, Lio Rush versus Action Andretti. Now, last time, we do know recently Lio Rush has been called into question over his relations with Dante Martin in the past. Now, if you guys remember, Lio Rush took him under his wing and all that, but Darius was the kind of person who questioned Lio Rush's motives. And Action Andretti thinks the same thing too, but that nonetheless. But you would think that there was going to be some high flying in this particular match. It kind of did, but unfortunately, this match ended with Of course, Leo Rush applying the final hour, or as it's been known as the Frog Splash, to pick up the win. And then, of course, we did see, of course, the Martin brothers gave respect to Leo Rush, so this Action Andretti. Now, our next match, we have Shingo Takagi. This is ahead of their upcoming match at Forbidden Door. As you all know, they will be actually involved in the Owne Hart Foundation tournament, but he has to go through AR Fox. Now, AR Fox, don't get me wrong, fantastic wrestler, almost similar as Swerve, but, however, Shingo, he's a strong and capable powerhouse wrestler. If you guys ever seen Shingo, he is strong as hell, but he was able to apply the Last Dragon, and just like that, he picked up the win. And all of a sudden, we did see the arrival of Bryan Danielson, who sent out to shake his hand, but Shingo was not having it. Basically, he does not want to shake hands with the American Dragon. So we'll see where that goes from there. Alright. Our next match, got some eyes, is the Owne Hart tournament. Serena Deeb versus Willow Nightingale. Now, okay, Serena Deeb, we know what she's capable of. She'll try submission moves, which obvious was her main focus. But Willow, great power. But the real question is, can she withstand every submission that Serena applied? Well, she did, but it took only a Dr. Bomb by Willow Nightingale to pick up the win. Now, interesting thing is about this, Willow will meet Chris Statlander later on in the second round of the tournament. So we will see what happens from here on out. So we just hope things will go out. I think many people would like to see Willow win another opportunity to become two-time Owne Hart Foundation winner. So we'll see when that happens. But as of right now, we're done with AEW. Let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our first match, we have Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe taking on Cutler James and Dion Lennox. Now, I would say by watching this match, I would give the factor to DuPont and Igwe. We have been seeing them, of course, tagging a lot longer than, of course, than James and Lennox. Now, Lennox and James, don't get me wrong, I know that they are just teaming up, but this is a match where, of course, the factor is that they are a makeshift tag team. Sometimes makeshifts don't normally pick up the win, but it was, of course, DuPont who picked up the win by pinning James, and just like that, it was completely over. Now, ahead of his match against Uriah Connors, Shiloh Hill introduced himself to the WWE Universe, letting him know who he is and all that, but he's well prepared to face against Uriah Connors. So he knows the type of person Uriah Connors is. Now, of course, Uriah Connors, he's been a little bit more longer than Shiloh Hill, but it was, of course, Connors who picked up the win by pinning Hill. Just like that, it was over. Next up, we have Carmen Petrovic taking on Ren Sinclair. Now, Petrovic, we have seen her, how much she has grown. I mean, her association with Natalia and all this and that played out pretty well for her. But she's facing against Ren Sinclair, who, as you know, she had been lucky once when she eliminated Lash Legend. But how can she do with someone who has an expertise with martial arts, and not to mention her association with, of course, with Natalia? So that kind of tells it all. But it was Petrovic with the spinning kick that put away Sinclair, and just like that, she picked up the win. So nice one right there. So I think we are now officially done with our review, so let's just move on with some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Now, first things first, we want to give a congratulations to Flip Gordon and his wife, Barbie Villarreal, who just gave birth to their daughter. They haven't posted any photos of their child, so they did let Barbie did posted this. I know her already. I met her twice. This is what she had to say. Let me pull up. But here it is. This is what she had to say. Our beautiful daughter arrived into this world this morning, and absolute perfect and healthy. We decided that we will not be sharing photos of our baby publicly at this time. We will be keeping this experience private. Uh, Barbie is recovering well, and our family is together. Thanks to everyone and all of the thoughts and prayers. Much love, our family. So, things are going well. So basically, Barbie and her child are doing well. I'm sure Flip is going to be busy taking care of his wife and daughter by the time being until he goes back to ring. So we'll see how that goes. So congratulations, guys. Now let's move on to, of course, updates with the promotions on their upcoming events. French promotion Banger Zone Wrestling has announced for their No Afraid show that will take place on the 6th. Now this is a promotion that's in France. However, they just announced someone you guys know to be there, and that person is none other than Cero Miedo. That's right, Penta. He will be making his way to Francia, and he'll be in a three-way match against Ultima Sombra and Agle Blanc. I have to say, I would like to see just Penta and Engel Black face off blank together. I would like to see him face off. That's what I want. Now, on July 6th, for the DPW Live 7, Chris Danger will be in action to take on one of his other mentors, Breeze. So basically, you guys know this. Chris Danger trained in the same academy where is taught by Spears and Breeze. So we'll see that. Now, Kitsune Women's Wrestling has announced for their Shugo event taking place on the 14th of July. A match has been announced, and this is, of course, the rookies who just will be making their debuts. Maney and Miko Alana, they will be facing off each other. GCW announced for their homecoming show for both days in Atlantic City, Drew Parker returns. So it's interesting to hear that. As you know, I mentioned a while back, Pro Wrestling Noah will be doing some UK tours. They announced Los Golpeadores, the brothers Alpha Wolf and Dragon Bane will be in it. But they did announce to where they're going to be at. There's going to be a 3-day show in September. September 6th, which is a Friday, they will be at the Edinburgh O2 Academy. On the 7th of September, a Saturday, they will be at the Manchester O2 Ritz match. And then on the 8th of September, which is a Sunday, at the London Electric Ballroom. So that will be their entire UK tour from there. So I think that's pretty much it for the promotions updates. Let's talk about certain developments that took place. Fightful Select just reported that Brooks Jensen, as of today, he is now a free agent. Now, I'm not sure if that's 100% accuracy because there are people that are saying that it's a work or that stuff, but hopefully we'll get more definitive answers, but we'll see about that. Excuse me. All right. As you all know, Mercedes Moné made a surprise appearance in CML ahead of her Forbidden Door match against Stephanie McKeer. So things got out of hand when they were when she was over there, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, as you know, this coming Sunday we do have the IWGP Women's title defended in an Ice Ribbon in Corkin Hall on the 23rd. However, it was later announced by Ice Ribbon that Yuji Nagata will be present as a referee for this match. I'm going to presume that this was a decision made by the IWGP committee. As you know, they make the decisions for this belt, so it would make absolute sense. Now, I know this one, people were buzzing about this. Now, reports were coming in from Dave Meltzer himself about, of course, reports were saying that AAA owner Dorian Roldan has been in talks with WWE recently about the partnership. Now, one of Dorian Roldan's employees, he serves as a ring announcer, a of course commentator. Hugo Savo Sarivonich actually decided to set the record straight. Now, the report about Dave Meltzer, it was incorrect. Um, Hugo said that he personally talked with Dorian and told him the truth that he hasn't been in talks with him. Now, I know some of you were questioning this. We know that sometimes either the Wrestling Observer or Fightful Select, they get it wrong, but this time they did. So they have no issues towards Dave Meltzer, but they're asking him, please get the correct information. So basically, that's what's happening. So Hugo made it clear they're not in talks, but don't say that there won't be any talks between them, because they're most likely. But we do know, and another news outlet, I never heard of them, called Planet Wrestling, they actually been hearing that they've been in talks with AAA and World Wrestling Council, which is a promotion run by the Colon family, which is Carlito's family. So we don't know yet what's going to happen until then. Now, an interesting thing has taken place. Many people are saying that in Heatwave we will see possibly Giulia making her present on Heatwave. However, that wasn't the case, and this one was reported by Wrestling Observer. Let me pull that up here. This is what they had to say regarding Giulia. She is definitely not wrestling Roxanne Perez on NXT show on the 7th of July in Toronto. She and those in Japan and one source in NXT had denied the story from the beginning. She is injured and had surgery on her wrist and won't be ready by that date. She's coming, but not until a later date, later in the year. Perez versus Lola Vice looks like it would be a match on that show. I mean, it seems like it, because we know that Giulia will have a match later on in July on the 13th against Sarai, formerly known as Sarai. So that is obvious what we're hearing. Now, Tony Khan was asked by the Bleacher Report about his dad. If you guys saw that look of his dad when he was concerned for his son when he got power drive by the TK driver by the Bucks, this is what he said. He thought it was fantastic. People were sending it to him. He knew it was going to get attention. He knows AEW is a big deal. He follows the show and the product. He's not a hardcore wrestling fan, but he watches AEW. So, so he gets a lot of people messaging him about it. No surprise there. But yes. But yeah, I have to say, it's good to hear that he's enjoying the show. I mean, he's not a hardcore fan, but he's enjoying it. That's great of him. So I think that's pretty much it, what we have for everything else with our news updates and reviews. Let's just call it a day. Okay, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have, of course, AEW Collision, and now I've been realized that we have a New Japan show. The Soul Man continues with their tour on this one. I will be covering it. Hopefully, I do get an opportunity to see Stardom's the conversion. That's something I am looking forward to it. So we will see what happens from here on out. But until then, we will see. But I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.